Have you ever noticed something strange? The person who replies to your messages instantly feels ordinary, but the one who leaves you on scene for hours or even days somehow becomes impossible to stop thinking about. You replay every conversation. You check your phone every few minutes. You wonder, did I say something wrong? Maybe they're just busy. Maybe if I try harder, they'll finally notice me. It's confusing. Why would someone who gives you less attention end up taking more space in your mind? Is it love, or is your brain playing a trick on you? Today we're diving into one of the most misunderstood psychological mysteries. Why are we attracted to people who ignore us? And here's the surprising truth. Most of the time, you're not chasing the person. You're chasing the feeling they create inside your mind. By the end of this video, you'll understand why emotionally unavailable people often seem so attractive, why rejection can become addictive, and most importantly, how to break free from this cycle. Because once you understand the psychology behind it, you'll never look at attraction the same way again. The illusion of scarcity. Imagine you're walking into a store. There are hundreds of ordinary watches on display. Then you notice one behind a glass case with a sign that says, "Only one left." Suddenly, that watch feels more valuable, not because it changed, but because your mind believes it's rare. Psychologists call this the scarcity effect. Our brains naturally assign greater value to things that seem difficult to obtain. The same rule often applies to people. When someone is always available, your brain quickly becomes accustomed to their presence. But when someone is unpredictable, sometimes warm, sometimes distant, sometimes present, sometimes completely absent, your brain starts treating their attention like a rare reward, and rare rewards are incredibly powerful. This doesn't necessarily mean the person is special. It means your brain has labeled them as valuable simply because they seem hard to reach. Think back to childhood. Have you ever played a game where someone keeps moving the finish line just as you're about to reach it? At first it feels frustrating, but strangely, you become even more determined. The harder it becomes, the more you want to win. Human psychology often mistakes effort for value. If you've invested time, emotions, sleepless nights, and endless overthinking into someone, your brain starts believing, this person must be worth it. Otherwise, why would you have worked so hard? This is one reason people stay emotionally attached even when they're not being treated well. Not because they're deeply in love, but because their brain wants to justify all the emotional investment they've already made. A dangerous confusion. Here's where many people make a life-changing mistake. They confuse emotional intensity with emotional connection. Someone who ignores you creates uncertainty. Uncertainty creates anxiety. Anxiety creates obsession. An obsession can feel incredibly similar to love, but they're not the same thing. Real love brings peace. Obsession brings restlessness. Real connection feels safe. Emotional uncertainty feels addictive. The question is, if someone truly cared about you, would you constantly have to wonder where you stand? The answer isn't just emotional, it's biological. Your brain is wired to seek rewards. Every time something exciting happens, it releases a chemical called dopamine. Contrary to popular belief, dopamine isn't the happiness chemical, it's the motivation chemical. It pushes you to keep chasing what you might get. And here's the twist. Your brain releases even more dopamine when the reward is unpredictable. Imagine two scenarios. In the first, every time you press a button, you receive a reward. After a while, it becomes boring. You know exactly what to expect. Now imagine a second button. Sometimes you get a reward, sometimes you get nothing. You never know which press will be the lucky one. Surprisingly, people, and even animals, keep pressing the second button much longer. Why? Because uncertainty is exciting. Psychologists call this intermittent reinforcement. It's one of the strongest ways to create a habit. Now apply this to relationships. One day, they text you sweetly. The next day, they disappear. Then they suddenly compliment you. After that, silence again. Your brain starts waiting for the next reward, not because you're weak, but because your brain has entered a cycle of anticipation. This leads to another fascinating psychological effect. When someone rejects us, many of us don't simply lose interest. Instead, we begin asking questions. Why didn't they choose me? What am I missing? How can I make them like me? Instead of moving on, the brain treats rejection like an unsolved puzzle, and humans naturally want to solve puzzles. The less clear the answer is, the more mental energy we spend thinking about it. This is why one person who ignores you can occupy your thoughts more than 10 people who genuinely care about you. But here's something even more powerful. Most of the time, you aren't falling in love with the person. You're falling in love with the story you've created about them. When someone doesn't reveal much about themselves, your imagination fills in the gaps. You begin imagining future conversations, future dates, future happiness. You start loving the version of them that exists in your mind, not necessarily the real person. Psychologists sometimes call this idealization. The less information we have, the easier it is to project our own dreams onto someone else. And that's why emotionally unavailable people often appear mysterious, exciting, and perfect. Not because they truly are, but because your imagination has done the work for them. The next time you can't stop thinking about someone who ignores you, ask yourself one honest question. Do I actually know this person? Or am I in love with the idea of who I hope they are? That single question can reveal the difference between genuine love and emotional illusion.